you.
You're so funny, Seth. Well, so I'm glad that you're here, though, man. So yeah, I've got your big one back there, compiled by Bernadette, who you mentioned in your new book, and This Is Marketing,
Yeah,
which is really
she's
fun.
on fire.
Oh my gosh, huh? That's amazing. So the new book, though, This Is Marketing. You can't be seen until you learn to see. I have to say, the title seemed so like, oh, this is marketing. Okay. And then I read the book and it's like, this is marketing. That's what I
Right,
would say, right? So that's
you're
pow.
pronouncing it right. You pronounce it like this is marketing. That's the way you're supposed to say it.
Yeah. And I didn't get that at first. I have to tell you, like, because I'm like, oh, okay, well, great. So Seth is going to write about marketing. Warren Buffett writes about managing money. Okay, big deal, right? So because I've read, I don't think I've read every blog post that you've ever written, but I've been a reader for, gosh, since you used to say, go to SethGodin.com and click on my bald head to get into my blog. That's how long I've been. That's when you spoke at.
Thanks for being part of the family.
Yeah, yeah. And so I have to say, and I actually want to start there because you actually say in the book that instead of doing that, you actually say, let me see, hold on, let me get there because I took a ton of notes here. You said, instead, go to themarketingseminar.com. So why the change, Seth? What is themarketingseminar.com? Let's start at the end.
Okay. So for the last 2 years, we've been running a new kind of education. I think it's a harbinger for where education is going. And it is a workshop. It is not a bunch of videos. And the difference is that in a workshop, you do work. And 6,600 people have taken it, and it has been transformative for those people. It takes 100 days, and there's an enormous amount of interaction. In just a few weeks, we have more than 250,000 views. People are finding each other. They're sharing their work. So we built this thing. It's got 50 videos from me in it. And we built it because I don't coach and I don't consult. And this was my chance to put the work into a place where people could engage with it. And what happened was after watching the first 4,000 people use it, I started to discover what resonated, what didn't, what lessons were working, what ones weren't. And I realized I should make a book. I should make a book for people who aren't committed enough to spend the time, to put the effort in. Because a book is this magical, no batteries required method of handing over an idea to somebody. So the book didn't take very long to write because the book is based on 2 years of work inside the seminar. And then what we did for the month of December, it's not too late, is we opened the platform to anyone who bought the book. You can hang out there all December, find the others, engage, and then in January, we're going to run the seminar again. So that's why I sent people there, because it's the best expansion of what is in the book.
Wow, that's really cool. I really like that. I think that's a very interesting way to get people to go somewhere, because now if they enjoyed the book and they're committed enough, you talk about the power of the funnel on there. That makes your book almost the top of the funnel.
That's right. The book, actually, the top of the funnel is showing up for 20 years with a blog post every day, right? That the top of the funnel is understanding that trust and attention are precious. Don't burn trust. Don't waste attention. So every day, there are a lot of people who give me 45 seconds, 5 minutes of their attention, and I do my best to honor it. Not because I want them to buy something from me, because I actually don't care, but because I am a teacher, and this is my chance, drip by drip by drip, to teach. 7,500 drips later, I've earned trust, right? I've earned permission. So then the step after that is, are you going to have a meeting at your office where you're going to mention something I wrote? Are you going to forward an email to somebody to say, what do you think we should do with this? I disagree with him. Great. The step after that is, oh, here's this video, an interview with Phil or with Chase Jarvis. Oh, the step after that is $12? Of course I'm going to spend $12 for a book. And the step after that is another meeting or 5 meetings because you bought 4 copies for the people you work with. And now you say for $48, my whole organization's different because we had an argument internally about what we do. And then the step after that is some people will pay a bunch of money to take a seminar. But I don't didn't start blogging 20 years ago so I could sell a seminar today.
So would you still say, though, that people should still start blogging, Seth? Should they still be doing video?
Of course.
What's their drift?
You shouldn't do it because you'll be able to sell a seminar in 20 years. You should do it because you can, because you have something to say, because the act of being clear about what you believe in, putting your assertion in print, online, for 5 people, 500 people, 5,000 people, and being able to come back to it a year from now and saying, I was wrong or I was right, is priceless. I would pay money to be able to blog.
And you did for a long time. I mean, you were on TypePad. That was the big thing. I remember back a long time ago, that was the big platform. And I was a TypePad guy as well. And you had trackbacks turned on with comments off, which was really interesting. That was a very interesting strategy. And my most recent blog iteration, I actually turned comments off as well because they're hard. There's too much spam, because now the strategy is, if I can just get one more follow link, I can really be famous. So you turn trackbacks off too, which is interesting. So, but I know you still listen.
For the listeners at home, let us explain what we're talking.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm going nerdy there. Sorry. Thank you.
Okay. So turning comments off was easy for me. And the reason it was easy is because I had a choice. Either my blog with no comments or a blog I did not write with comments. Those were the only two choices, because I couldn't keep writing knowing that anonymous people were going to show up and yell at me. It was just, I was freezing up. I was like, I think most of my readers would prefer I keep writing, but for my own self-preservation, no comments. And I got a lot of flack for that, and I never hesitated, because if you want to have comments on your blog, please do. But this is my blog, no comments. Trackbacks could have been a miracle, and I was wrong that they would work. I wish they had worked. And the idea of trackbacks is this. Everyone should have their own blog. If you have a place you want to say something, say it on your place. But with trackbacks, a ping will go, so anyone who's reading my thing can see that you wrote something on your thing. And so it creates this virtuous community, this web. But it turns out the people who most like to comment, many of them don't want to do it on their own turf. They want to show up in your living room and dump their vitriol on your carpet. And that's the way the world changed. So that, combined with the fact that trackbacks was a broken technology that no one fixed, I turned it off because people were constantly sending me notes saying trackbacks don't work. I'm like, it's not my fault trackbacks don't work. So I had to turn it off.
That makes sense. So how do you still keep up with what people's, where the conversation goes, Seth? Do you have like a Google alert set up, or, do you have like 100 people? Because I can only imagine how much input you get and still manage to churn out great stuff every day.
Well, so if you look, these are all the people who helped me write my blog. They're all in the room with me.
Oh, there they are.
Yeah, it's me. If someone sends me non-anonymous, thoughtful feedback, I treasure it. I listen to what they have to say. But other than that, I am not looking. I'm not looking on Twitter. I'm not looking in Google. I'm not looking, because it's a really, I feel the itch all the time. Oh, my brain's sort of quiet right now. I wonder what people are saying about me behind my back. And then it always leads to a bad outcome. Even if they're saying something nice, it leads to a bad outcome. Because if they're saying something nice, I go, I wonder if anyone else is saying something nice. And you can spend your whole day doing that. Or if they write something that clearly demonstrates they did not understand what I said, I feel like I have to go over to their house and say, no, what I meant was this. And that's not helpful either. So I get that there's a mindset that says we have to serve the people we seek to engage with. And I agree with it. But I don't think that we have to do that by having a survey or a poll. I don't think we have to do that by making everybody happy all the time. I think we make an assertion, we put it in the world, and if it works, we do it again. And if it doesn't work, we adjust our assertion and we do it again.
I like that. And that really gets us into the book, because you talk in the book on This Is Marketing that it is all about choice, right? We have to choose our customers and choose who we serve. So how do we do that though, Seth? Is it as simple as just kind of shutting the world out and just saying, okay, I pick you and not you and this person?
So what does it mean to pick somebody? So you and I are both wearing Edge glasses right now, right?
Yeah.
So the person who made those glasses, the gross margin's 90%, they're doing great. Should they say these glasses are for everybody? Of course not, because a lot of people don't even need glasses. And among people who do need glasses, most of them want to pay $20, $30. Among the people who are going to pay a bunch for glasses, most people want glasses that fit in. There aren't that many people who want glasses that stand out. So if you're going to show up in the marketplace and listen to the feedback from people who want $20 glasses, from people who want glasses that fit in, and from people who don't want glasses at all, you're going to be very confused. On the other hand, if you say, we made this for people like Phil, and then someone like Phil shows up and says, yeah, but they don't have flashing LEDs, you just got a useful piece of input, which is if you want to sell glasses to Phil, you better add the flashing LEDs, right? So the act of picking puts you on the hook because it makes you specific, not general. And if you are specific, then you have to own what you do, which is totally different than blaming the market and say, well, I put it out there and no one wanted it. It's their fault. No, it's because there is no such thing as the market. There are many, 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 many markets. You get to pick who it's for, and you should ignore everyone else.
Wow. That's really powerful. And that is all about the smallest viable audience, not the largest possible audience, which I had when I read that was like, aha, that is the goal, right? What is the smallest dosage I can get here and still make it meaningful? So for a book though, Seth, I mean, what's the smallest viable dosage? I mean, is Adrian going to sign you up if you only sold 7 books? Or
okay,
how does that work?
So this is pretty easy to give you a very specific example. Last week, This Is Marketing was the #1 best-selling business book in America. It's on the New York Times list. It's on the Wall Street Journal list. It was number 11 of all the books on Amazon, including Michelle Obama. We did that with a very specific book in hardcover for a very, very small group of people. And if we sold 12 or 15,000 copies, that was a lot. Think about that. That's fewer people than fill Madison Square Garden. It's not this many people, it's this many people. And if the book does what the book is supposed to do, those people will buy more copies, or they will insist that people they know buy more copies. But even if we take my best-selling book ever, which sold, 1 million, that means 299 million people didn't buy it. So if that's not enough for you, if you need your book not to be one of the 20 best-selling new books of the year, you need it to be the best-selling book of the decade, then this is probably not the book for you. The book for you would be the book that says how to get really, really lucky like Harry Potter. And, that's not what this is about. It turns out luck isn't the point. The point is find a small group of people who would miss you if you didn't show up and be specifically useful to them, and most of your problems will go away.
I love the power of the word specific, because that is what so many people are missing. When they think about their market, they go after everybody. And, whoa, like that big book back there is not, there I go. Whoa, off the chair. Sorry, Seth. But that book back there is not for everybody. That book, I want to say, was probably $100 or $150. It's not for everybody, but for the people that it's for, that's an awesome book. That's the perfect book for them. And I think is that kind of what you're saying there about the power of specific?
Yeah. And you name an industry that's working where someone has grown fast in the last 10 years, and my rule will follow. It works for Airbnb, for Supreme, for Wikipedia, for a new up-and-coming health insurance company, for politicians. Over and over and over again, the same rules apply. But we're afraid. And so since we're afraid, instead we say, show me somebody who's hustling and making a lot of noise and trying to sell something to everybody and getting on the Tonight Show. I want to be that person. You're not going to be that person, and you shouldn't waste your time trying to be that person.
That's very encouraging, because that is, there's no chance that that's going to happen for me, and I'm yet happy with where I am, and I mean that genuinely, right? That's the interesting thing, is that serving those who love you, those who value your work, is way more rewarding than serving the mass market, when all they do is, to your point, oh, well, trackbacks don't work. Oh, this sucks. Oh, geez, I hate this. So that gets to a point that you mentioned here about students instead of customers, though, right, which I think is really interesting. Can you explain that, Seth?
Yeah, I put this into the marketing seminar at the last minute, and it was word for word the biggest breakthrough of anything in there. Some people didn't get it, and they were a little, if they said it felt, their understanding of teachers because of how they grew up was different. Right, here we go. A lot of people hesitate to be marketers. They're worried about how it feels they think hustle and hassle people to sell something. And I said, what if we just change the words, and you thought about your smallest viable audience, the group of people you seek to serve. And in your mind, instead of thinking of them as prospects or customers, you thought of them as students. And that your job was to teach them what you know. Because if you taught them what you know, they would eagerly buy what you sell. If that's true, if you can think of not the worst teacher you ever had in 12 years, one that was based on authority and dominance, but the best teacher you had, the one who saw you for who you were and helped you become who you wanted to become, can you do that for your customers? Because if you can, then marketing is a privilege and a treat, and it's exciting. And if you can't, then you're not marketing properly.
Yeah. Hence the title, This is Marketing, right? I'm starting to get this.
What I'm basically doing with the title, and it was Adrian's title. Thank you, Adrian. My title was Make Things Better by Making Better Things. And Adrian said, look, you've been doing this longer than anybody. You have the right to draw a line in the sand. You are putting out there a bunch of ideas that people with money who do the other kind of marketing aren't going to like. And you have the right to claim it. So I'm claiming it. This is what I think marketing should be.
Yeah, I agree. I shook my head a lot in the book. I don't often I'll write 1 or 2 pages of notes, and I've got a notebook full here, which is very unusual for a book. And I really like, wow, this makes sense. And one of the things that you just alluded to here is the alternative to domination, the alternative to being, having dominion over people, is affiliation. That I'm connected, that I'm family. And you said that it's a horizontal experience and not a vertical one, right? Who's standing next to me, not who's above or below me. Can you explain that for those who may not have yet read the book?
Sure. And I'm getting a little technical glitch here. Are you seeing me okay?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. You're sitting very, very still, or your tech froze on your end, one or the other, but I'll just keep going.
Okay.
There are 2 ways to understand how things work in the market.
Oh. And we froze there for just a minute, but we'll be right back with Seth. So if you're tuned in, thanks for tuning in. And if you're not, well, I guess you don't even see this. So let's see. Now we froze.
What happened? Are you good?
Oh, geez. Yeah, I froze there. So, I'm not sure what happened there, Seth, but go ahead. Okay. You said there's 2 things. Good. And your video's off, but that's okay.
Right. My video should be on. I'm seeing myself.
Okay. Well, we'll keep going. You go.
I'm going to keep going, and we hope it will come back. Let's agree this is a miracle. That 2 people who are 1,000 or 2,000 miles apart are having a conversation in good quality that is being broadcast around the world for free. Let's agree that this is a miracle. And I'm not going to whine about whether the video is working or not. Okay. So some people in some situations want dominance. That's what professional wrestling is. You go to professional wrestling to watch your wrestler beat the other wrestler. And there's nothing wrong with the person who wants dominance in a given setting. It happens all the time. It's not just professional wrestling. You go to a fancy restaurant and the maitre d' is snooty with you until they see your name in the book, and then they treat you like a king. That feeling, you don't get that feeling when you go to McDonald's, right? It's not on offer. So dominance is one thing, and we can certainly see this in politics. The other one is affiliation, which is who's next to you? Who are you in sync with? Are you wearing the right clothes to the conference? Do the people at the walkathon that you're supporting the charity, do they look and feel like family? That's affiliation. And so there's a long history in our culture of wanting to be affiliated, to fit in, to be part of something. But let's not forget that dominance also is a big factor. And so we will see brands, businesses, freelancers, individuals play one or the other. And I think we just got to be really clear when we're doing it that we're doing it on purpose.
I like that. That makes so much sense. And that really gets us back to the good teachers that I've had in my life. And I've been fortunate that I've had a lot of good ones that have come alongside of me and not just stood over me and told me this is what to do. And the follow-up to your book then should be This is Education, because that's really how we teach, or we should anyway, at least the new way, because the rote drill sergeant is much less effective in long-term change and long-term transformation than is anything. But you did talk about boot camps in the book, which I think is interesting. And I expected you to be maybe a little bit more critical of those, Seth. Can you talk about the boot camp philosophy?
Just tell me in context. I don't remember using.
You mentioned that it was you mentioned like it was a quick indoctrination, right? We have boot camps for the 10-day transformation, but not for often for lasting change.
Right. Well, so what are you enrolled in? Where are you seeking to go? I am not in the Marines. I wasn't in the Marines, but I could imagine that the dominance focus of the first 30 days of a Marine boot camp leads to affiliation that would not be obtainable in any other way. So that people sign up to be dominated and on the other end come out affiliated. That doesn't mean it's a good way to learn to draw or to lead or to engage in other ways. But different methods are going to get you to transform in different ways.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. So I served in the Navy. My brother was a Marine, and definitely very different philosophies there, and very different philosophies for those who haven't been. But I thought that was interesting. I wasn't expecting any sort of reference there, so that was pretty cool. And then you move from there into a word that is very new to me, and I think will come as very new to many. But once we explain it, it'll make a lot of sense. And that's a neophiliac. Someone who is an early adopter. And you spent a lot of time on this. Would you consider yourself a neophiliac, Seth?
Well, it depends on the field, right? So this is super important. Everyone acts differently in different settings. No one is one way all the time. So for many years, I was neophobic when it came to shoes. I just bought 6 pair of the same shoe and it was done. I didn't want new shoes. I was not interested in that. My brain didn't have space for that. But when it comes to gadgets I can plug into a USB port, I'm a neophiliac. If you say to me, hey, we got this really cool gadget that you can plug in that will clean your glasses by remote control, I'm like, how much is it? So your job, if you're bringing an idea to a community, is to realize that some people in the community, about 12%, are neophiliacs. They want something. Their question is, what's new? And about 12% of the people are laggards. Their whole mindset is, don't change anything. They still have a 12 flashing on their VCR, right? And in the middle, for any given market, is the masses. And their question is, what's everyone else doing? Now, you can't show up with something new and expect to get applause from people who say, what's everyone else doing? So when I was on the internet in 1991, 93, 95, 97. Where were all you guys? You weren't there with me because you were in the middle saying, what's everyone else doing? And it wasn't until 96 when Yahoo started to take off that it was, oh, everyone else is using Yahoo. I better go do that. But that's not how you build a company. You have to find investors and partners and employees who want something new before you try to go to the masses and say this is better. Those are two different kinds of conversations.
Interesting. Yeah, new versus better, not at all the same. And so do you, I have to ask, Seth, so do you wear John Fluvog shoes? Or have you had
I've
any?
been to the store.
Okay.
And I've actually taken pictures of the sign they have out front, because one of the things on their sign is, at the one in New York City, that they sell shoes there where it's the only pair in the world of that size. So who could possibly buy that shoe other than a neophiliac? They're the only person who could, because it's the only one. It will never be a shoe for everyone. That's their position. And if they put them in Payless, it wouldn't work very well.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think I've been to their store in New Orleans and down off Bourbon Street, down in the French Quarter, and it's gorgeous. They have this big neon sign that's like you're, kind of, it's just different. It's a totally different experience buying a
Yeah.
food.
So, but in terms of shoes, today I'm wearing Adams. I have a pair, you don't.
Nice.
And the reason I know is because they just shipped yesterday for the first time. And they come in quarter sizes. Now the magic, and in fact, you can wear a 9 3/4 on one foot and a 10 on the other, no extra charge. So I am now a neophiliac with a certain kind of shoe because I can talk about these shoes at least for another 3 weeks because I have a pair and you don't. And 3 weeks from now, it'll be boring. But right now, I got a pair of Adams and you don't.
That's awesome. Well, if they come in orange, Seth, I'll have to get a pair. So that'll be my color. So talking more about the book here, one of the words that you use that I love is that's central to my life and my work is service. And you call service reserving the best version of the work for them, not for us. So how does that play out, and how do we kind of let go so that we can be of service?
Okay, so let's not confuse service with free, because it is entirely possible to deliver value to people by charging, because it comes with a story. Price is a story. That's number one. Number two is, if you give everything away for free, you won't be able to do any service tomorrow. And so I'm not arguing at all against making a profit. What I am saying is we must accept the fact that there's so much clutter and so much choice that if you try to do marketing to people instead of with people, you will fail. That if you are marketing with people, you have to be doing it for them or else they're going to walk away. But if you are marketing to people to get what you can, then you're not being of service, you're just taking. And people are smart enough that in the long run, they'll just walk away.
Wow. Yeah, people are smart, and often they see the motive, even if we've attempted our best to hide it, which is always interesting, right? Our intentions come out, like it or not.
Right. And I think that, anyone who's watching this, who looks at your work, can see an example of that you're not running some giant squeeze play, that you're getting satisfaction out of serving the people you're trying to teach. And that is a much more sustaining, generous mindset than what scam can I pull today. And so that's one of the things that really bothers me about most of what's going on the internet, is there's this shortcutting thing going on. There's this snooping thing, the privacy doesn't matter thing going on. And everyone's got their latest scam. And I have no time for that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't have time for that crap either. That's horrible. And yet I think so many think that just personalization is enough. Like if I use, hey, first name, let's have a conversation about merge field. We should have a talk, and we can be, what do I want? Right? Or I thought you were really, insert adjective here. I mean, life is not a Mad Lib, and yet people think that it is. Why? You said in the book, the goal isn't to personalize your work. It's to make it personal. And that is so important. Can you expound upon that, please?
Well, you know, the phone rang during Thanksgiving dinner a couple nights ago, and I pick it up, and it's a voice, and it says, "Hey, it's Seth. I finally got you. It's harder to reach you on the phone than it is to get my husband to cook dinner. Ha ha ha." And only because I'm aware of how direct marketing is shifting did I know that this was a cleverly created mail merge Mad Lib recording of someone spamming me. Now, let's think about what that involved. It involved a device that used to be personal. It involved data that used to be personal, my name. It involved time that used to be precious. And here is this institution, who knows where they're located, that hired a voiceover actress, that wrote a bunch of code, that figures that just because they can make the call for a penny, they should. Figure that just because they can steal my attention, they should. And no, I didn't buy their stuff. And yes, I'm going to get rid of my phone because everyone's doing it, and I value my attention more than that. How does that scale? How is that productive? How is that something to be proud of? That when you're sitting with people, they say, "What do you do?" "Oh, I write really clever scripts that steal people's time and attention and trust, and then I rip them off."
Yeah. That's I don't think I want to tell my dad that that's what I do, Seth.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Wow. So this is marketing is another hit for you, another hit machine, if you will. And you talk about that's the other path, right? The other path from hit machine, though, is one of connection, empathy, and change. And yet you actually, I have to say, and this is, I'm surprised, and not really because it's you, but I'm surprised that you can balance both. So how do you balance between a hit machine and being connected and personal and empathetic and helping us change?
Okay, well, the first thing I got to remind you is I'm not at a scale of people who are actually famous. I'm not at a scale of people who are actually cranking out bestsellers. That, you know, if you look at somebody who was making hit records 10 or 15 years ago, like Moby sold as many records in an hour as I would sell books in 2 years, right? So we're talking orders of magnitude. But the real essence of your question is, what does it even mean to be personal? And I think it's about what promises do we make? So if someone sends me a note and says, "Let's have coffee," I say no. I would say no if you asked me to have coffee. I can't keep that promise. It doesn't scale. If guy ran into me in the airport the other day and said, "Hey, remember me? I sent you an email a couple years ago." No, I don't remember you. And that's not part of the promise. The promise is, I will see you in the aggregate. I will work hard to see you in the aggregate. But if you are looking for a coach or a mentor, I can't help you. And I don't pretend that I'll help you. If you sign up for the Alt MBA, you will not be surprised to see that I'm not there at all. That if you take the marketing seminar, you will find my 50 videos, but you will not find me. It's not part of the promise. It's not like, oh, for a few $100 you can get some coaching from this guy. That's not the promise. So that's where we have to go. We have to figure out Howard Schultz isn't going to make you your cup of coffee, and I'm not going to answer your marketing question, but we see you. And that's what people want, is to be seen, not necessarily for someone to come to their house and bring them lunch.
That's so obvious when you say it, and yet it's so like overlooked, I think, by so many, right? Howard Schultz is not going to make your coffee. Seth Godin is not going to be your marketing coach. That's good to know, Seth. That's really funny. So as we kind of bring this to a wind up here, you said something that really struck me, and that is the massive question that we need to ask about marketing, and that is, do people like us do things like this? If we can answer that question, we can be a better marketer, a better salesperson, a better human, if we can answer that. So what does that mean, and how do we actually do that?
Well, I think you move the word "do" to the middle of the sentence. It's not, do people like us do things like this? It's the assertion, people like us do things like this. It's up to you to decide what that is. And so you begin by saying, who are the people like us? You got to be really clear about who the people like us are. And then you got to be willing to say, and the things like this are so-and-so. So I'll give you a quick example. I did a collectible edition of the book. It comes with 8 different covers, and there are 19 in the random selection. And one of the covers is of a guy named Keytar Bear. There's Keytar's picture, right? Now, Keytar Bear is a celebrity. He's super famous to a very small group of people. He's super famous in Boston to a pedestrian who might go near the Boston Common, to someone who of a certain age who likes a certain kind of music. Keytar Bear is legendary. Now, this brewery, Trillium Beer, also serves people a lot like that. And they're a craft brewer. So the overlap between Keytar Beer and Keytar Bear and Trillium Beer, they should have called it Keytar Beer, I think, was complete. And so people like us, people who know who Keytar Bear is, drink beer like this. That's the connection. Everyone else in the world, no idea. No idea who Keytar Bear is. No idea what Trillium Beer is. Not for you. But for people like us, we're going to do things like this. And so in 3 weeks, they sold out every can they made.
Wow. That is incredible. So are you, in closing here, Seth, I've got to know, are you going to, like, you've got collectible on this one with different covers. Are you going to do another cereal box or a purple cow, or what's next for Seth Godin?
Well, the book only came out 10 days ago.
Oh, come on. You're ahead. You're always ahead of the curve, though.
We are working super hard on the seminars on the future of education. So we've got the Bootstrappers Workshop, the Marketing Seminar, Podcasting Fellowship, and the Alt MBA. I think that's what my future looks like right now. And the changes and the shifts we're helping people make are priceless. And that's what I've always wanted to do. So that's what we're doing.
Awesome. Well, the book is fantastic, Seth.
Thank you.
This
You're very kind.
is Mark. Oh, I might be, but I'm also telling you the truth. It is really good. So this is a fantastic book. This is marketing, and that's Seth Godin. And hopefully you learned something today, because I did. Seth, I always learn from you, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
man. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Thank you, Seth. See you soon,
Bye-bye.
man. Is there anything else I can do for you, by the way?
Oh, you're
As we wrap
amazing.
this up?
I'm very happy. This was super fun.
Cool.
I hope you get a great response.
Me too. Thank you again, Seth. Take care.
See you. Bye-bye.
See you soon.